I am Marissa. I am going to be your host this evening. I am CWD's clinical director. I am a person living with diabetes and a nurse and a diabetes educator. And I am very excited to introduce Kim Rose, who I feel like we had already met, but this was actually our first meeting. And I'm really excited to introduce her. So she is a Florida-based registered dietitian nutritionist who specializes in health and wellness concerns for people with diabetes. Her inclusive approach and philosophy revolve around making nutrition easy and attainable, which is huge. And she does this by addressing common and complex food and wellness topics for the general public and health professionals alike on her YouTube channel, and contributing to multiple media outlets, including Healthline, HuffPost, and Health Magazine, just to name a few. Kim has close to a decade of professional experience and dedicates her time to working at a hospital and counseling clients in her private practice. In her spare time, she likes to run, podcast, and enjoy a large bowl of kettle corn. Welcome, Kim.
Thank you so much, Marissa. I'm so grateful that you guys have given me the opportunity to speak about some things that we need to know for the holidays. So let me go ahead and share my screen and we can get started. All righty. So we are going to talk about how to maintain a balanced diet from Halloween all the way through the rest of the holidays. So what I'm going to do at this time, I'm going to go ahead and turn off my video because, as you see, I'm a person that likes to talk a lot with my hands. And I really want you all to pay attention to the slides today, so I don't want to distract you. So I'm excited to be here today because the holidays are coming up, and can you believe it? Halloween is a little less than a week away, which is very exciting this time of year. After all, when you think about it, it has really been a pretty rough year on everyone. So a little rest, a little reprieve is always nice. So as I stated before, we're going to talk about how you can maintain a balanced diet from Halloween all through the holidays. So we will address all the holidays that fall in between Halloween, and then that will take us all the way to New Year's Day. So with that being said, as Marissa mentioned, my name is Kim, and my objective today is to show you how you can still enjoy the coming holiday season without sacrificing your health. To be honest with you, the holidays are about the 3 F's, as I call them. They're about food, friends, and our family. You should be able to enjoy your favorite foods while making conscious as well as confident decisions for yourself or your little ones that maintain the health gains that you've established or are trying to establish and solidify. So I really encourage you guys to grab a pen and a sheet of paper because there is some information and valuable information that I'm going to share with you today. Or since this is being recorded, you can easily rewatch the replay. So one thing that I want us to remember, and I actually have to say this for every presentation that I give, is that if I were to ask you, what is your favorite holiday season, or what's your favorite food? Each one of us is definitely going to have a different response because, hey, we all have different preferences. So I want us to remember that during today's presentation. For any individual health concerns, it's important that you speak with your specific doctor for more personalized recommendations or speak with your specific dietitian for personalized recommendations. So I want to give a little bit more information about myself. So as Marissa mentioned, I'm a registered dietitian nutritionist. I have been so for over 10 years, and my main thing is to educate and support people that have diabetes. So I'm also a certified diabetes care and education specialist, which basically means that my powerhouse is all things diabetes. I have a very different approach from mainstream dietitians. I do not believe, and you'll hear me say this a lot, I do not believe that food has to taste like cardboard and sadness. Because when you tell people that they cannot enjoy the foods that they like, then that's really no fun. And this leads to an unattainability, and this creates discouragement. So I really try to stay clear from that. I also wanted to share with you that I am originally from Jamaica. So if you hear a slight accent, that is my Jamaican accent that you are hearing. So I know a lot of my patients in the hospital setting and clients, seeing that I'm in Florida, they always say, "Oh, Kim, are you from New York? Are you from Boston?" And I'm like, no, let's try something a little further south. So depending on what syllable it is, you'll hear me say my A's different or hear me say my E's different. So it's just simply my Jamaican accent that you are hearing. So today, for a quick overview, we're going to look at seven things that you can do to manage your holiday season. So the first one we're going to look at is alcohol and candy. We're going to look at stocking up on protein, why that is important for the holiday season. We're going to talk about skipping quick fixes and how this may be something that you really want to employ. So we're going to get into a little detail about what the quick fixes are. We're going to talk about how to be awesome. And I have to say, number 4 is actually one of my favorites because it's something that is a little more proactive and can not only benefit you and your family members, but whoever's house you're going to for the holidays. We're going to talk about number 5, checking your levels or your blood sugar levels. 6, we're going to look at focusing on what matters because we've all had a tough year, as I mentioned earlier. And then finally, 7, we're going to talk about saving desserts for after the meals. And we're going to look at some nice, healthy, and tasty swaps that you may choose to employ. So let's just jump right into it. So the first thing that I wanted to look at is alcohol. I am asked all the time, Kim, is alcohol a friend or a foe? Alcohol is such a popular beverage around the holidays. Personally, I'm not a fan of alcohol because it can do weird things to your blood sugar levels. But in case you are, this is a no judgment-free zone. This is rather a judgment-free zone. Here are a few facts that you should know about alcohol. Number 1, it's a source of empty calories. So that means it has no nutritional value whatsoever. Alcohol is void of any vitamins or minerals. So if you consume alcohol, what you're going to enjoy is the great taste. Those empty calories may be contributors to excess weight gain, which can impact blood sugar management. But if you do choose to drink during the holiday season, do not drink any more than 1 serving. So I know you may be saying to yourself, okay, Kim, what exactly is 1 serving? Well, I'm glad that you asked me that question. We're going to get into that in the next slide. But the Center of Disease Control and Prevention states that women should get no more than 1 serving of alcohol per day, and men should get no more than 2 servings of alcohol per day. Additionally, I like to tell people, if you do choose to drink, do not drink on an empty stomach. Why? Because alcohol can really cause your blood sugar levels to dip. And a low blood sugar level is not pleasant. So if you are going to drink, make sure that you have a meal or eat your holiday dinner first. So as promised, I wanted to look at what is a serving. So remember when I said that the CDC said that women should get no more than 1 serving of alcohol daily and men should get no more than 2? Well, this is exactly what a serving is. So 12 ounces of light beer is considered a serving, and specifically light beer because it tends to be a little lower in carbs. So it impacts your blood sugar levels not as drastically. 5 ounces of red wine, or any wine actually, is a serving. Be careful of white wine though. Depending on what type of white wine, it can be a little sweeter, which has more sugar in it. And 1.5 ounces of distilled spirits is also a serving. And by distilled spirits, I'm referring to rum and tequila and whiskey and brandy, the things of that nature. So I know you may say to yourself, okay, Kim, but you didn't mention any mixed drinks. You didn't call out the sangrias and the martinis and the margaritas and the daiquiris. You didn't mention any of that. And you're right. I didn't. I didn't mention any mixed drinks because they tend to be a little more complicated. Mixed drinks are mixed with juices and sodas that may or may not have added sugar in them. And there's so many options. So as a general rule of thumb, what I would say is to skip the drinks that are made with sugar and syrup and juice and opt for ones that are made with diet soda if you want to enjoy a mixed alcoholic beverage. So automatically, the first thing that pops in my mind, I don't know why, but it's just been on my mind, especially for the holiday seasons, a mixed drink would be a Diet Coke and rum. So you're enjoying the taste of the rum, but you have it in a mixture that is not going to impact your blood sugar level. So that may be an option that you may consider for the holidays. So seeing that we spoke about alcohol, let's move into something a little more kid friendly, which is the candy and the sweets and the cakes and the pies and the cookies that are beginning next week, actually, for those of you that do celebrate Halloween. So the donuts and the lollipops and the candy corn, they are everywhere this time of year. And I don't believe in avoiding certain foods unless you have a legitimate food allergy or food sensitivity to it. If you or your child really wants to partake in these desserts, you can. And here's why. If you have a craving or your child is really telling you like, hey, mom, hey, dad, I really want a Reese's peanut butter cup. So I really don't want you to abstain from it because, or have your child to abstain, because when you do practice abstinence, then this can really promote an unsustainable lifestyle that may lead to overindulgence down the road. So this can cause overindulgence, can result in poor blood sugar management. Instead, I encourage people to be knowledgeable about how much carbs is in that particular item. So what do I mean by this? So for instance, it's important that you find out how many grams of carbohydrates are in you or your child's favorite holiday candies. And during this time of year, you can easily incorporate that into a snack or into a diet. So growing up, I must say, I was a super fan of Nerds. So when we look at this slide right here, we see one box of Nerds has 9 grams of carbohydrates. But let's say that you're a chocolate fan or your child is a chocolate fan. We can see that the Butterfingers, a fun size, has 15 grams. We can see 3 pieces of a Kit Kat has 10 grams, and the list goes on and on and on. So you can see from this slide right here that you can fit all of these fun holiday foods into your diet by knowing the proper amount of carbohydrates that is in each serving. And something else that I wanted to point out is that the fun size definitely take advantage of that because it is not only is a cute, smaller box, but also it doesn't have the large size that is going to have more carbohydrates, more sugar, and can negatively impact the blood sugars. So again, do not be afraid to take part in these holiday sweets because I don't believe in that things should really taste like cardboard and sadness. I believe that you should be able to have a little party in your mouth and that your taste buds should definitely rejoice. So moving right along. So we looked at alcohol, we looked at candy. So the second thing that I want to look at in the category is stocking up on protein. So protein does a number of things for the body. It supplies the body with energy as well as strength. It helps with growth. It helps the body to repair itself after an injury. It also helps to keep you full for a longer period of time. So the best example that automatically comes to my mind when I think of individuals that eat a lot of protein are those bodybuilders. So besides them pumping iron all day long, they are really making a conscious effort to eat a lot of protein. Protein also does not spike your blood sugar levels and can help to control blood sugar spikes. So protein also tastes good. So protein comes in a variety of different sources. Dairy products and beans and legumes are great protein sources, but the most popular sources of protein this time of year are definitely include the beef, the poultry, the pork, the turkey, as well as fish. So whether you are a carnivore or a vegetarian or somewhere in between, you can get adequate amounts of protein in your diet. One thing that I would say is that it's important, if you can, to choose lean protein options. So during your holiday dinner, taking the skin off of the turkey or off of the chicken would be considered a lean protein source, as well as avoiding fried foods if you can, or fried turkey, some people do that, will be considered a lean protein option. Also, taking advantage of plant-based proteins such as beans and legumes is important because these foods have fiber in it. So something that comes to my mind for like a lean plant-based protein option is a green bean casserole. The green beans have protein in it, and they also have the fiber in there, which can help with the blood sugar spikes. So before we move on, I just wanted to know, what are some of your favorite holiday protein choices? So I just want you to think and answer that question to yourself. Is it chicken? Is it ham? Is it turkey? For my vegan and vegetarian and flexitarian friends, is it tofurkey? So I know for me, this is a judgment-free zone. My favorite holiday protein is definitely beans. And I know that's not exciting, but beans just bring back so many good holiday memories for me. Beans were always a holiday side dish, and beans are a great source of protein. So I want you to think of what your favorite protein is during the holidays, and I want you to make a conscious effort to have that protein during the holiday season. Okay, so moving right along, the third thing that we're going to look at is these quick fixes, which I mentioned earlier. So definitely look out for those tempting quick fixes. Realize that timing is everything. So I do not want you to skip breakfast. I do not want you to skip lunch so that you could have a larger holiday dinner. When you skip meals, this really increases your cravings for sweets. So that cake and candy at the office or around the house becomes an irresistible temptation. So do yourself a favor, eat breakfast, go ahead and eat lunch, and have your holiday dinner, and save the sweets for after dinner. This way, you'll be able to control your portion sizes for your desserts and nourish your body properly throughout the day by having a meal. So here's a pro tip. If you don't have set meal times or like a window that you eat, you're doing yourself a real disservice. So please go ahead and set meal times. And here's why. Regular energy levels have been linked to setting meal times. Setting meal times can really prevent blood sugar fluctuations, such as the really high or really low blood sugar readings. It can prevent overeating and help you practice portion control, especially when it comes to carbohydrate-rich foods. And it improves overall nutrition, believe it or not, because when you set meal times, you're more apt to make a conscious decision about the foods that you're going to eat. So you'll be more likely to include fruits and veggies and lean protein into your diet. So again, I'm really encouraging you all to eat breakfast, eat lunch, eat dinner, and don't skip meals. So a popular question that I receive a lot is, Kim, what exactly should my plate look like for my meal times? Breakfast tends to be a little easy on everyone, but really, what should my lunch or even my holiday dinner look like? Well, again, I'm so glad that you asked me that question. So let's go ahead and take a look. So I want to give everyone a visual. This is what your meals, especially like your holiday meals, should look like. So this is what is called the healthy plate method. So one half of your plate, one half of your holiday dinner plate should be a non-starchy vegetable. And examples of these include your carrots and tomatoes and lettuce, celery, cucumbers, zucchini, broccoli, cauliflower, bell peppers, so forth and so on. And it really doesn't matter if these non-starchy vegetables are raw, or if they're steamed, or if they're grilled, or if they're cooked or roasted in any particular fashion. A vegetable is a vegetable is a vegetable in the body. 1/4 of your plate should be a protein. So protein, as mentioned earlier, comes in a variety of sources, and it includes eggs and fish and chicken and turkey and lean beef. And for my vegan and vegetarian and flexitarian friends, there's tofu and tempeh and seitan. So the non-starchy vegetables and the protein really do not have a drastic effect on blood sugars. The carbohydrates, on the other hand, do, and carbs are not bad. I want us to get away from that train of thought, especially if you're on social media or reading a magazine or scrolling through your phone. You'll always see something that is promoting carbs as the devil, and that is the furthest thing from the truth. Carbohydrates include your rice and corn and potato and beans and fruit and pasta. So for the holiday season, if you want your macaroni and cheese, if you want your potato salad, your fruit ambrosia, your pasta salad, you can definitely do so. Just make sure that it's 1/4 of your plate. In addition to these proportions, I want you to make sure that your plate is not a tower. Your food should not be a mountain that's about to topple over. So make sure that everything is leveled. And if you or your loved one or your child is still hungry, definitely do not be afraid to up the non-starchy veggies and up the protein, because we have to definitely save room for dessert. So something else that I wanted to mention is that this plate is 9 inches in circumference. So you should really have a plate and not a platter. Something else that I did want to say is, if your child has diabetes and your child is still hungry, definitely do not hesitate to stock up on more protein as well as non-starchy veggies, particularly the protein, because children are growing and protein is important for growth. And those non-starchy veggies have those vitamins and minerals in it that you can't find anywhere else in food that are needed for their little bodies to grow and develop properly. So one thing that I have people tell me often as we look at the 4th tip is that stocking up on veggies during the holidays, like for the holiday dinner or any type of holiday festivity, is really, really hard. So here is a tip. I want you to be an awesome guest and bring a veggie side dish. So salads, they're quite obvious. They're easy to make. So a caprese salad or a chef salad or a simple green and veggie salad with those added cucumbers and endives and mushrooms is so easy. Or you can choose to bring a cauliflower casserole or mashed cauliflowers. So it really depends how fancy you want to get for the holiday season, or any type of artichoke dip. You can definitely bring those things as well. Something that incorporates a veggie is quite important. So be an awesome guest. Whoever's house or festivities that you are going to, definitely make it something a little more holiday themed. So with that being said, we are going to move on to our 5th tip. So check your blood sugar levels. So not checking blood sugar levels is so common. And there's a variety of ways to check the blood sugar. You can easily take your finger prick like this, or simply looking at your device that you have attached to you. So most people tell me that, especially during the holiday season, when the festivities get started, that they don't check their blood sugar numbers until they start feeling either dizzy or they start feeling off. So eating certain foods can really impact your blood sugars, as well as the excitement of the festivities, because your body is releasing so many different hormones that can cause your blood sugar levels to surge. So do not ruin a perfectly good time by not checking your numbers. Monitoring your numbers allows you to spot highs, it allows you to spot lows, and it allows you to figure out what in the world caused them and prepare yourself to correct them. So I wanted to give you guys some tips. So if you have a high blood sugar level, these are some things that you can do. Number one, you can offer to help out in the kitchen. Number two, you can go for a walk with yourself or with a group of friends. Or number three, you can invite your friends or family members to play a quick game or dance to a holiday song. So all of these tips can be applied to yourself or your little one. If you notice that everything I mentioned here involves some form of physical activity, and movement is so important. And I don't want you guys to think that, the little fine movements aren't going to help with decreasing your blood sugar levels. Movement is movement. So I want you guys to honor your process. I don't expect you to go and, run around the block, but I want you to have a good time, but then be conscious that your body is still moving if you do have a high blood sugar level, so that we can help to bring those numbers down. If your blood sugar level is low, this is what I want you to do. The first thing is to know the signs and symptoms to watch out for. So the early warning signs of a low blood sugar include dizziness, there's feelings of shakiness, hunger is a clue, you can have a headache, you can be easily irritated, sweating, trembling, as well as weakness. So without treatment, your symptoms may get a little more severe. You can pass out, or your loved one can pass out. You can have poor coordination and poor concentration, as well as numbness in the tongue, as well as the mouth. So when your blood sugar is low, this is what I need you to do. So if you're multitasking, I want you to come back to me now. So the first thing that I need you to do is to drink 4 ounces of juice, wait 15 minutes, and then check your numbers again. If your numbers are still below 70, then repeat the steps until your numbers get to 70 or above. If you don't want to drink juice, you can try eating 4 to 6 pieces of hard candy, or 1 tablespoon of honey. Or even if you have those, the glucose tab, you can take 3 to 4 glucose tabs. All of this is immediate sugar that is 15 grams of carbohydrates. Once your blood sugar is back in the safe zone, I do not want you to wait on your meal times. I want you to eat something ASAP, because this is your body's sign of telling you, hey, I don't have enough energy. I don't have enough carbs to keep going. I need to refuel. So do yourself a favor and eat something. And this is important because during the holidays, what I'm finding is that, if you're an adult and, for instance, hypothetically speaking, you drink alcohol and the alcohol has an impact on your blood sugar levels, if you're out with someone and they do not know that you do have diabetes, they may think that you are drunk and may think that you are playing around. So it's important that when you are out with someone that you let them know, like, hey, can you be my spot person, so forth and so on, discuss your condition, and let them know that if they see you acting certain ways or even pass out, that they may need to call for help. So seeing that I said that, and honestly, hypoglycemia unawareness is quite huge. And so that's why I like to spend a little time with every presentation that I do to go over the signs and symptoms of it, because repetition does deepen the impression. So with that being said, we are going to move on to tip number 6, and that is to focus on what matters. And a great way to really focus on what matters is, believe it or not, and I don't want you guys to think, oh, Kim, you're kind of brutal. I'm not. I'm just being honest. A great way to really focus on what matters is to really ignore some people around you. So some people may want to be your food police, and they may want to say what you should and should not be eating during the holidays. So never mind them. As I stated before, food does not have to taste like cardboard and sadness. So a great way to focus on what matters during this holiday season is to really keep it moving. So here are some ways that I want you to stay present. I want you to be conscious of your thoughts. So if it creeps up in your mind that you're quote unquote, and I know you guys can't see me, but I'm throwing up like air quotes, if you're quote unquote bad for eating a piece of pie or eating a piece of cake, definitely banish those thoughts. As I tell people, those thoughts are from the devil, and there is no such thing as a bad food or a good food. Food is just food. Food is not an extension of who you are as a person. Tip number 2, I want you to enjoy who you're dining with. Food brings people together. Focus on your relationships. We all have had a really tough year with this pandemic and all. So really take time to focus on what matters. Tip number 3, practice an attitude of gratitude. Express thankfulness and appreciation for every part of your life. The fact that you're living and breathing and you have food to eat and warm clothes to wear is awesome. It's such a blessing. Some people don't have this. And then finally, detaching from your phone. Detach from Instagram and Facebook and Twitter and social media. These things are so captivating, but it can definitely be a waste. So don't worry about who's on the World Wide Web and playing like a comparison game. Instead, focus on who's around you. Think about detaching from social media for a few hours if you can. So finally, the last tip that we're going to look at, which may be a little obvious because I've actually been saying it throughout this entire presentation, is to save desserts for after your meal. So this may be obvious, but I've had people tell me that they actually eat their desserts first. So to set yourself up for success with a better blood sugar control, you want to eat your main entree first because it has the protein, it has the fiber, it has the fat in there that can help to slow down blood sugar spikes. Furthermore, for people that do have diabetes, you may think like, oh my goodness, I have to skip dessert forever. My doctor doesn't want me to eat desserts. But around the holiday season, I actually say the opposite. I tell people to partake because skipping desserts forever is not sustainable and it may lead to overconsumption in the long run. Also, if you're a sweet lover, then skipping desserts, I mean, that's misery waiting to happen. You're more likely to break if you fully deprive yourself. So if you are looking for healthy holiday swaps, you can basically have your cake and eat it too, because I have some for you guys to consider in the next slide. So in my opinion, these are some of the most popular holiday desserts that I have had people tell me. So apple pie, you have pumpkin pie, or if you're in the South like I am, sweet potato pie is quite popular too. And the third option is cheesecake. So for the apple pie, what I would recommend, you can have your apple pie, but if you're looking for an option that has a little less carbohydrate load, then you may want to switch it out for an apple crisp instead. So with the apple crisp, especially if you make it from home, you can account for the amount of sugar that you choose to add or not add. And one thing that I will say as well is if you make your crisp from home, you can definitely spice it up by using all of those lovely warm spices that are just all over the place this time of year. So I'm referring to the cinnamon and the nutmeg. They definitely go a long way. The second swap is your pumpkin pie or sweet potato pie. You can switch it out for a souffle or a sweet potato casserole. Again, we're taking into consideration that the sweet potato pie or the pumpkin pie tends to have a little more added sugar in it. So we want to take that into consideration and not send your numbers soaring high. So instead, you can do the souffle or the casserole. And finally, the cheesecake. Like, really, what is the holiday season without cheesecake? So what I would say is if you're having a gathering at your home or if you're going to someone's house, you can buy these cute little mini cheesecakes with a little fruit, preferably berries, because berries have a lower glycemic index. You can buy it with berries and just put it on the side. Like, first of all, this is cute. Secondly, it's properly portion controlled, and you can enjoy the great flavor of cheesecake. So these are the three options that I would recommend if you are interested in switching out your desserts for the holidays. So with that being said, I'm going to go ahead and turn back on my video. And I thank everyone for joining me today. Happy holidays to you and your family.
Thank you so much, Kim. Those were really, really helpful tips. I have a question. First of all, the food should not taste like cardboard and sadness. That is incredible. And do you have merchandise for this? Because I feel like that would be a great t-shirt.
You know what? You're right. I didn't even consider that. Oh my gosh. You gave me an idea, Marissa. I'm going to table that.
I feel like it should be like your tagline and you can just put it lots of places. It's just such a poignant, but such a true thing. And I feel like many people can relate to that comment because we've definitely tried foods that we thought were a healthier choice. And they did taste like cardboard and sadness. So I really just love that. Thank you for that perspective.
My pleasure.
And the other thing I was going to touch on is, I think, with closed loop systems and the type 1 community, and honestly for kids, sometimes the low treatments have to be a little bit more nuanced because, for example, if you have a really small kid that doesn't weigh a whole lot and you give them a whole 15 grams, or, myself, if I take a whole 15 grams of carbs and I'm 70, I'm on my closed loop system. It's already been backing off my insulin. So I tend to it's very hard. I try really hard to do a little bit less. Like I'll do, maybe 10 grams of carbs.
Right.
And just see how that goes. And I just, I don't know if you have any advice for sort of nuanced, smaller portion things, because my current issue is that the fruit snack packs that I like are the Mott's ones. Yes. And they're 21 grams. And if I'm not very conscious about my, low treatment, I can quickly overtreat.
Right. So the first thing that I, just automatically pops up in my mind are the little glucose tabs. So right on the container, it says 3 to 4 of them are 15 grams of carbohydrates. So what I would say is, especially, as you mentioned with the closed loop system, just go ahead and cut that in half. Instead of taking 3 or 4, go ahead and take 1.5 or 2. And, that's important too for the little kids, because these little things, the glucose tabs are easily transportable. They can go everywhere with you, or even for the Mott's, one package. So the one entire pack is 21. Does it have it counted out? Does it say there's 7 in a container?
No. No, I know. And some of the packages definitely have more in there. That's for sure. And I'm I think one of my current issues with low blood sugars in this this is like a later development in my life. And I've noticed some other women have this as well. And I mean, there are other people with diabetes that have it where you get nauseated as your blood sugar starts to drop. So the other piece is being able to, tolerate whatever you need to put into your body. So I do have I have Sprite sometimes in the fridge for in case I need a little bit of the bubbles.
Right.
But I think I've gotten too comfortable with the fruit snacks. And I think maybe it's because they come in a pouch. I can put it in a pocket. I can dump a bunch in my car and in my purse. But, this creates the problem of portion, and they taste good.
Yeah.
So, you kind of almost need to do something, as an adult. I mean, with kids, I think you've got to do what you got to do. Right. Or, if you're really nauseated, like when I was pregnant and I was really nauseated and really low, I'm going to do whatever I need to do. But for normal times, I think that I need to get back onto the glucose tablets, because it's more like medicine, right? I mean, it's not that it's medicine, but it's easier to portion out, and it's less likely that I will overdo it because they're not that good.
Right. Totally understand. And then I think too, for the little ones, another thing that popped in my mind, I call them jelly babies, but they're called jelly beans, but I call them jelly babies. One jelly bean is 1 gram of carb. So if you know your child's sensitivity, or if you're in the closed loop system and you need to cut back on the 15, you can count out your jelly babies more easier, especially if you have a picky kid that doesn't want to eat certain things. I haven't seen a kid refuse a jelly bean.
You know what? That's really true. I know those in the, the little Skittle packets. I mean, those are good for your teeth, but you know what? We'll just brush our teeth and use mouthwash and floss. It's all fine.
Exactly.
Yeah. And for overnight, I mean, juice boxes, but it's hard to find the ones that are 15 grams. Usually now they're bigger.
Really?
I know these are weird random struggles of people.
What about the juicy juice?
Yeah, I can find them sometimes, but usually some grocery stores only have the 25 or 24 gram ones, I think is actually what they are.
Oh, no.
I know. Well, they didn't ask us when they portioned them. I feel like they should. And then the opposite problem is those Capri Suns. A lot of the Capri Suns now are low carb. And there was a study I was working on, and it was a ski study with the artificial pancreas with kids aged 6 to 12. And we brought all this, someone had bought Capri Sun without checking the label. And, we're oh, well, this will work. Oh, this is 5 grams of carbs. That's not enough for the amount of liquid that you're having. It's really, food is such that's why this is the whole topic. It's so nuanced. And, when you have to think about all of your decisions with diabetes, it just adds that extra layer of complexity.
It does. Yes, it really does.
And go ahead.
Go ahead. I'm sorry. No, you can go ahead.
Sorry, I was just going to say, and I love that you talked about the plate method, because that's something that I talk about a lot with people. And I think we, in type 1 diabetes, we went through this boomerang of not being able to eat much at all when all we had was the split mixed insulins. You could have a very small amount of dessert, depending on your blood sugar, et cetera, to having insulin pumps and oh, you can eat like a normal person. Right. But, normal people now that we just have such easy, unhealthy food at our disposal. And, the unhealthy choices, are less expensive. They're more convenient. And I think the plate method is something that is easy. It's easily achievable. It's easy to understand, as long as you know that peas and corn are starchy vegetables. Those do not count as that. But I don't know if you have any other tips on how to get a family eating that way.
The healthy plate method?
Yes.
Well, the best thing that I would say is, it's so funny. I bought for my family plates that look like the healthy plate, and they're like pre-portioned already.
Right.
So it's like no one can like give themselves like extra carbohydrates because it's only going to fit into that one section. So like all the plates in my house are basically to teach my family members, this is how you portion everything properly. So when I actually do, or hopefully will transition into a normal plate, they'll already have that burned into their mind. So I honestly think it starts with the plate itself. It really does. To find the ones, and you can find them. I found them at Walmart, out of all places. And no, this is not an advertisement for Walmart, but that's where I found them. And you can just buy them there, and it's just so easy. So what if you're eating breakfast, lunch, dinner? You're forced to portion out everything.
Yes. Well, and I think too, what we've tried to do. So I have an 8-year-old and a 5-year-old, and for example, this evening for dinner, I did make gluten-free chicken nuggets in the oven because we had them in the freezer, and we needed something. But then I had bought mashed sweet potatoes, which I knew they weren't going to like them, but I gave them each a little bit, just a little tiny bit, so that they would taste it. Because, the way that what we've been doing anyway with our kids is they'll just try. You just have to try it. You don't have to eat the whole thing, but just taste it. And I swear it works, because they did not like zucchini for years. And that's one of my favorites. I love zucchini. And just like 2 weeks ago, they have turned the corner and they like zucchini.
That's a win. That is a win. I think with children, it said it takes over 20 something tries before they like a food. So for anyone that is listening to this, do not be discouraged if your child's like, ew, gross, get this out of my face. It takes exposure. Yes. So don't be afraid to cut it up into different shapes, to incorporate it in different ways, different sauces, different meals. Definitely exposure makes all the difference. Yeah. It wasn't until I was an adult that I liked avocado. And I grew up like, Caribbean parents, and like all throughout my childhood, teenage years, 20s, I hated avocado. It wasn't until I was in my 30s, I was like, oh, this is not bad. Yeah. But it really takes exposure and just a constant, if they see it, touch it, taste it, right, spit it out. But hey, it works.
It worked. I can't believe it worked. It took a really long time, but we were committed. The next big challenge is going to be cooked spinach. But what's nice is that they don't like it, but they'll eat it raw. So I'm like, you're still getting great nutrients that way. So I just give them like 3 spinach leaves and they'll just eat them, which
really nice. That is great.
Whatever works, right?
Yeah, whatever works. That's all that matters.
Yeah. And the other thing that I've found that's another way to sneak vegetables into my children is I make like homemade smoothies where, I do like frozen fruit, and then I put in, and we have like a Vitamix, which is one of those, like, it's like a food processor and a blender or whatever. And God, that thing has been amazing. We used it for like baby food when they were babies, and now I just use it for smoothies. You can use it for other things, but then I put in like spinach, or I can even put in carrots because it's like such a beast. And then it's funny because I do use a little bit of like a protein powder. I think it's soy protein, I believe, because I don't do dairy. But anyway, they went to a friend's house, and someone made a smoothie with just fruit and yogurt and not vegetables, and they didn't like it. Wow. They legit were like, I don't understand. This isn't like, they felt bad because they didn't want to be rude. Right. But they were like, Mommy, I don't like this. And I was like, oh, because I feed you the healthy smoothies.
That's awesome. And I love the fact you add the protein powder. That is so important because that will help with blood sugar control as well. So I love the fact that you do that.
Yeah, that's for me for sure. Yeah, I used to be better and like put flaxseed in too. And I've gotten a little bit lazy about that, but I do put flax and chia in with yogurt when they eat yogurt, and we all have adapted. Again, you force yourself to eat it and you start to like it. It's just training.
You do, honestly. And I know for me, I'm not a fan of the flax or chia, so I hide them, even though like I'm making the smoothie for myself, but I hide the taste of it and the texture because it can get really jelly in the smoothie. So I hide it from myself because I know like, oh my goodness, this is my fiber, this is my omega-3s, I need this. So I just hide it for myself.
That's awesome.
I'm still hiding food, even though I'm like 30 something, still hiding it.
We made chili recently, and this was a little funny. So my husband made the chili, and we made it with Beyond Beef, with ground turkey, and beans, peppers, zucchini, mushrooms, like all kinds of stuff, and of course tomatoes. And it was a little sweet, but I didn't really notice. And he was like, "Oh, I have a secret ingredient, and I won't tell you. Okay, maybe I'll tell you like on my deathbed." And I'm like, "Okay." And then my blood sugar is high, and I'm like, "Was your secret ingredient sugar?"
Yeah, sugar.
He felt so bad. It was. He put some brown sugar in it. It wasn't a lot. It really wasn't a lot. It couldn't have been the only cause. But I was like, "Bud." But the kids loved it. They ate those mushrooms. They ate that zucchini because it was in the chili. Everything tastes like chili.
And they had their plant-based protein in there too, the Beyond Burger. That's awesome. I love that. I love that. Yeah, I'm such a big advocate for plant-based protein. It's so underrated, but like you're giving your body nutrients that you're not getting from anywhere else.
Exactly. Well, and I told you earlier, my sister's a dietitian too. So she has taught us a lot about like using quinoa and things like that. And, it's not the best because it's sort of processed, but those little like 90-second microwavable packs with rice and quinoa, man, my kids love that stuff. That's what I gave them because I knew they wouldn't eat the mashed sweet potatoes for dinner. I was like, I'm making you rice and quinoa. And they're like, all right. They love it.
That is a great trade-off. I love it. I love it.
It's so funny. But it's nice. Do you have any? Oh, sorry. I was just going to ask if you had any other tips about like good like meatless ideas.
Oh, let me see. Meatless ideas. So besides the Beyond Burger, I make, and it's a process. I make meatballs from nuts.
Ooh.
So I just take my food processor and I get any type of nut that I have in the house. I'm not partial to any, but walnuts do have a better texture.
Okay.
And I just combine it all in the food processor, and you can use your gluten-free flour, or you can use regular whole wheat flour, and you can put the flaxseed as the binder in there. Nice. And it makes like or you can use egg. But I like the flaxseed binder because I'm still, I'm watching everything, watching cholesterol. I'm watching all of these things that I need to watch. And you make them into little meatballs, little circles, and then you just stick them on a baking dish and you bake them at 350 degrees for 20 minutes because you don't want it to burn. And that's it.
That's amazing.
It's yum. Of course, you put your seasonings in there. And
well, yes.
Yeah.
I was going to ask, does it like suck up the flavor? Like
it does.
Yeah.
It does.
So cool.
Yes. And sometimes it can get a little dry. So what I will do, instead of adding water, I would add plain almond milk, not the vanilla flavor, just plain almond milk, just to give it a little more flavor when you bake it. Because if you add water, then it's going to wash out all of the seasoning that you put in there. I learned it the hard way. But yeah, it's really yummy. I don't make it often because it's a process. It's a long process, but it's so good.
Oh, that's so funny. Yeah, I haven't tried that. I'm not that. Ooh, that sounds like a lot of time, but I do the Morning Star. You know what we end up using, like if we're gonna have like a meatball, it's the Morning Star veggie sausages, the sausage patties, and we just put that in with the spaghetti. I don't know.
I love it.
Yeah. The other thing that I've noticed, well, and a lot of my stuff came out of, trying to find stuff that was not giving me a big prandial spike, that postmeal spike.
Mm-hmm.
But we do a lot of the different like protein pastas too, or like we kind of alternate. We have like black bean pasta that we like. I think there's an edamame pasta that we've eaten. Chickpea we've tried. It's not as big of a hit. And whole wheat, and then the veggie, like the ones that have like veggies in it in theory.
Yeah. The tricolored ones, the ones that are like green and orange. Yeah, I've seen those.
Yeah. Awesome. And I don't think I don't know that we ever really buy, unless we're out to eat, like white pasta. So when they get it at a restaurant, the kids are like, oh my God, this is so good. I'm like, yeah, it's just special because we're out to eat.
Oh, that's awesome. That is awesome. I recently found a new pasta. Ooh. It's in the aisle. Well, it's not even in the aisle. It's in the veggie section. Ooh. But it's like all the way to the back where you'll find like the tofu.
Yeah.
And it says, I want to say, I don't even remember the name, but it comes in like a water-filled pack. And I was looking at it last week, and the whole entire package is 15 grams of pasta. Huh. So I bought it and I tried it, and my family loved it. Like they didn't know the difference, and I didn't tell them. I was just looking like, oh, what do you guys think? What do you think?
I know, that's the best.
And they did not know the difference. The only thing that I really didn't like was the cost factor.
Yeah.
It's really, really high, but it's made from a root vegetable. But what is it called? It's on the tip of my tongue.
Like cassava or something? No.
It's derived from there, but it's like konjac, Konjac, I think.
I don't even know.
And it's like a low carb root veggie.
Interesting.
But then it's just like the same texture as pasta. Like you would expect it to be like starchy. No, it's like like pasta and water. That's what it looks like when you buy it.
That's so cool.
Yeah, but it tastes so good.
I really like the jackfruit substitution for barbecue, like especially if you're making like pulled meat.
Yeah,
like the pulled jackfruit. I think it's really good.
It is good.
Jamaican thing, right?
It is. Yeah, it is. Yeah.
The Caribbean, it grows there.
That
fruit is huge.
Isn't my gosh.
Like
it's like as big as your head, and like it weighs like maybe 20 pounds.
Wow.
I don't even know how my family, we would freeze it actually and put it in our smoothies when we were younger.
Oh, so, nice.
Yeah. Cause you can't finish the whole thing. It's going to spoil before you finish it.
Oh, that's true. I bought it canned.
They sell them frozen too. They sell them frozen.
I have not seen that. I've got to find it.
Yeah. They have avocados frozen too.
I haven't tried that, like to put in smoothies or to just use.
Put in smoothies. Yeah.
Oh yeah. I could sneak some avocados in there. That's another one. My kids ate it when they were babies and loved it. And now they, are older and they're like, meh. They'll eat it when our friends make really good guacamole, and they'll eat guacamole. So we're like, this is avocados, guys. Just put it on your taco, eat it. It's fun it's like a game trying to sneak healthy food into children.
It is. It's an exciting game too, because especially when they like something, you're like, yes.
I know. And we're lucky because our daughter, and she's 5, but she literally asked a flight attendant if they had vegetables once. Like she loves vegetables. And the flight attendant was like, no, honey. Good luck. But I used to carry, I would bring whatever carrots we had left over, and she would just munch on them on the plane. And so she just thought that you got vegetables on the plane.
Oh my goodness.
We're just lucky with that one. The other one may be a little more sneaky. So.
That is awesome.
Well, thank you so much. This was really fabulous. We're almost at an hour, so I think we'll go ahead and wrap it up, but the recording will be available. And I really am glad we got to chat and hang out a little bit virtually, and hope we get to meet you next summer in Orlando, assuming everything's, smooth COVID-wise. So
yes. Likewise. Thank you for having me again.
Absolutely. Thanks, Kim.
Bye.
Bye.